bye bye yep bye 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 yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 yay bye 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 bum. Oh yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye bim bam yay bye bye yep bye 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 bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 yep bye 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 bum. Yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye bim bam yay bye bye yep bye 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 yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 yep bye 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 bum. Oh yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye bim bam yay bye bye yep bye 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 yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 yep bye 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 bum. Yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye bim bam yay bye bye yay bye 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 yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 yay bye 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 bum. Oh yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye bim bam yay bye bye yay bye 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 yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 bum. We'll do it one more time. Yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye bim bam yay bye bye yay bye 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 yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 yay bye 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 bum. Oh yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye bim bam yay bye bye yay bye 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 yay bye bim bam yay bye bye bim bam yay bye 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 yay bye 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 bum. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And Shabbat Shalom, everyone joining us online. It's nice to be back, I would say in the building, but we're outside of the building, enjoying a slightly cooler evening than the ones we've had recently. And as always, of course, we want to thank our members joining us here and online because truly, without you, we wouldn't be here. Rabbi Rachel, and I'm not introducing anybody else because I'm solo tonight. For those who are joining online, though, right now the handout for Shabbat is being pinned to the top of the Facebook feed. And for those joining online tonight, don't worry about any of the page numbers because your service goes in order, in order, in order. And you know what I realized? I don't have the page numbers. It's okay. Robert, can I have a prayer book, please? Thank you. Normally I have an outline because I've got somebody else. Now he's got me. Thanks, Robert. I have a different kind of prayer book with different page numbers. All right, friends. So I think we're all on board with it that per CDC guidelines, masks are optional for those who are fully vaccinated, and otherwise we do ask that you wear a mask. Excuse me, sorry. There we go. So should we need, here's where I become the stewardess, the airline attendant. We have exits right over here and an exit right there, and that one is not an exit. That'll take you back straight into the building. Friends who are here in person, please, and if you're online, take a moment, silence your phones, turn off your Apple Watches, all of those lovely things. And last but not least, if you are on the Facebook feed, wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. And if you are here, turn to some neighbors and say Shabbat Shalom. We'll come back together in just a moment. Yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye bim bam, yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye yep bye bye bye, yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye bim bam, yay bye bye bye, yay bye 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 bum. Oh yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye bim bam, yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye yep bye bye bye, yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye bim bam, yay bye 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 yep bye 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 bum. Oh yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye bim bam, yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye yep bye bye bye, yay bye bim bam, yay bye bye bim bam, Yai bye bye bye, yai bye 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 bum. So friends, if we will, we'll sit back in your chairs, perhaps flutter your eyes closed so that we can leave behind all the busyness, all the moving parts that happened for us in this past week, and so that we can enter this space and be present for Shabbat. So we'll take some deep breaths together. Deep breath in, and let it out. Another deep breath in, let it out. And with this final breath, we prepare ourselves for Shabbat. Deep breath in, and let it out. You will find our blessing for the candles on page 120. I'd ask that everyone please rise, and if you are at home and would like to light candles along with us, now is the time. And friends, candle lighting for each of you is back, and if you would like, you can do so inside in just a few moments. I really showed off that first one, huh? Match as it is. You think you can do it, Howard? Stephen, Howard, sorry. There we go. All right, friends, we welcome in the love, the warmth, and the light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kinishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehad likner shel Shabbat. Again, if you would like to light your own candles, I invite you to do so as we pray together words of Shalom Aleichem, which can be found on page 142. So as we sing Shalom Aleichem, I'll invite you to please be seated. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim Akadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem Neshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim Akadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim Akadosh Baruch Hu, Seitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim Akadosh Baruch. Friends, we have welcomed in Sabbath light. We welcomed the Sabbath angels to be with us. And now we have the pleasure of welcoming the Sabbath bride, L'Chadodi, page 138. L'Chadodi likrat kalai, lalai, Pnei Shabbat, Nikabelai, L'Chadodi likrat kalai, Pnei Shabbat, Nikabelai, Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Emanu-El hameyuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shem u'tiferet veliti lalachadoti lechadoti likrat kalai yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nikabelai likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha ki hi mekor habreracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techil alechadoti lechadoti likrat kalai yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nikabelai hitareri ki va'orech kumi ori shir daberi kevod Adonai alaich nigla lechadoti lechadoti likrat kala lalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nikabela. We rise and face the door. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam besimcha u'v'tzohola toch emunei segula boi chala we face forward lechadoti likrat kalai yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nikabelai lechadoti likrat kalai yalalai 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 B'nei Shabbat nikabela. Page 146, we have words of Baruch Hu. Let me just check my connections here. All right. Now hopefully the guitar is just as warmed up in prayer as we are for our call to worship, Baruch Hu. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach. Hamevorach le'olam va'ed. Hamevorach, hamevorach le'olam va'ed. As those of us who are here can pretty much see right at the corner there, we're literally watching as we move into this evening that we roll into the dark, our Ma'ariv prayer. It's not found in your books, but I know a lot of you know it, or you'll catch on really fast. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom balayla, go into dark, roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Friends, we feel our feet on the floor. Perhaps we close our eyes as we prepare to declare God's oneness with the words of Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated. On page 154, we'll find our V'ahavta prayer. And it's here that we are instructed to love God with all of our heart, all of our mind, all of our might, all of our soul. That's a lot of things. And so when we show up on a Friday or Friday night or a Saturday morning, we are finding a way, whether we know subconsciously or consciously, to connect to the words of this prayer, to what it's calling us to do. We're searching for that love and for that connection, whether it is to some power on high or the divine spark that is in the person sitting next to you. The V'ahavta is about fulfilling good deeds and morals and being a good person in this world, which sometimes can feel so dark. Together we'll chant page 154, V'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha uvkumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. So tomorrow, it's officially the federal holiday of Juneteenth. And that's because on June 19th, 1865, enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, were told that they were free. And this announcement was coming more than 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. And our prayer, the Micha Mocha, it celebrates the parting of the sea as the Israelites marched from slavery in Egypt toward freedom. And so we see many parallels between our ancestors' enslavement and the enslavement of African Americans in America. However, for the Black community, the sea has not yet split. In some ways, it feels as though only Nachshon has stepped into the water. And Nachshon being that man from Midrash, from extra stories on the Torah, elaborating the Torah. It's in the Midrash that tells us no one really wanted to be the first to enter the sea that Moses claims he's going to part. And the Midrash says it's Nachshon who takes the first step. And he keeps walking and walking as the water goes to his knees, to his shoulders, up to the right at the nostrils of the nose. And it's in that very moment that the Midrash says that the sea split. And so I think that there are many, I'll make his name plural, Nachshonim right now. Those who have entered the waters, but the seas have not yet parted for this community. And in many ways, they remain in Mitzrayim, in Egypt. And so although we celebrate our freedom, we do so knowing that there is still work to be done until all people are free. Micha Mocha, page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'eder b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fele, nora tehilot osei fele. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha, ke'ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'elianu ve'amru, ze'elianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimoch le'olam vad, Adonai yimoch le'olam vad. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, mika mocha ne'eder b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fele, nora tehilot osei fele. V'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov, glo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch ata Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. On the bottom of page 161, we have our interpretive understanding or reading or prayer. It is a prayer. We have our interpretive prayer on Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu at its core is asking for the sheltering presence of God in our lives, and that through knowing that we have that sheltering presence, perhaps we also have a chance to find inner peace and rest. So we'll join together as we pray the words at the bottom of page 161. Give us a place to rest, Adonai, our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us a shelter of your peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And as we ask for that sheltering peace, not only over us, but over Jerusalem, over Israel, over all people, it's that peace that we get to find, especially on Shabbat, which I'll speak about a little more in a few moments. But enjoy it. You're here, or you're there, and you're in the moment, and feel present with it. Vishamru, our prayer for Shabbat, page 162. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ובני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. So it probably comes as a surprise to nobody that I am very routine driven. My morning looks like this every morning. Wake up, go downstairs, empty the dishwasher, prepare Zohara's breakfast, make myself an espresso, make Max an espresso, have breakfast, Max makes mine, clean the dishes, and brush my teeth. Ever since we returned from Boston, this has become the routine for success in our family. There is a mindfulness to the actions that recognizes that I'm taking care of my body, a Jewish value, Shmirat Haguf. And during the pandemic, many of our routines were disrupted by the chaos of a new normal, and we went straight into survival mode. Those balancing kids and work from home were lucky to get some teeth brushing in, or even like a frozen waffle into bellies before everyone was due to sit in front of their computer screens for the next few hours. Now, regardless if there were kids in the house, routines changed as podcasts that you used to listen to on a drive into work, you needed to find a new time slot to listen to them. And these are just a few examples, but we can all imagine the little and the big routines that changed. Not to mention the fact that the summer routine is almost always a little bit different from the rest of the year. But last summer, if you remember, was very different. For many, rest was hard to find. Everyone was still somewhat in a scramble, spending their days and weeks trying to figure out how to take their organization or their job or the way they lived their life and help it to remain relevant and meaningful in an almost exclusively online world. And yet, for many, we found this not so secret magic of Shabbat. Especially during the major lockdown, our online viewership skyrocketed. Sometimes 130 screens, which is something like probably 400 people, were joining in week after week after week. Can you imagine the sanctuary inside especially, filled with that many people every Shabbat, week after week after week? This place feels amazing when that happens. There becomes this spiritual buzz that really surrounds us. And now we, the clergy, know that a big reason why folks were tuning in to be there with us was that you had nowhere else to be. Granted, you could have chosen a movie instead of being online with us, but many of you didn't. Something pulled you into turning on Temple Emanu-El's service. And I've lost track of the number of people who have told me that they have watched or participated in more Shabbat services in the last 15 months than ever before in their whole lives. A side effect of an awful pandemic was that it did force many people to slow down their Friday nights and weekends. While the week may have been busier than ever, Shabbat was waiting for us. Our sages say that the chance to, now these are my words, soak up the holy vitamins of Shabbat, to do that, it's like enjoying 1/60th of the world to come. Shabbat is a time to pump the brakes and to slow down from a hectic week. But as the world slowly began to open, we saw some of our digital viewership drop. We still had a consistent group of about 60 to 70 screens tuning in, but people began to get busier on the weekends. They'd expanded their pods, they were ready to eat outside at restaurants, and suddenly Friday night became calendar-filled with social opportunities once again. And our Torah portion this week, it's called Chukat from the book of Numbers. This Torah portion, I think, provides us with a handy framework for how we can think about our routines, our rituals, and rest as we transition back to a more familiar way of living. So in this Torah portion, rather in the Torah in general, and in this portion, we often study the differences between chukim and mishpatim. So chukim is often translated as ritual laws, and these are understood to be commandments between humans and God, while mishpatim, often translated as rules, are typically commandments that are person to person. And so in the name of chukim and mishpatim, I invite all of us to create new personal ritual laws and rules as the world opens up. Our chukim, our ritual laws with God, can be any mindful ritual that we add to our life to remember to slow down. Whether through the sharing of gratitude, of setting aside intentional time to pray, or anything that provides us with a spiritually meaningful way to slow down. And our mishpatim, our rules between ourselves and others, could focus on setting boundaries with nuclear and extended family members, friends or colleagues that provide us with the opportunity to say no, and to make sure that we have time to recharge to be our best and healthiest selves. So friends, let us allow ourselves to have a bit of summer rest in the name of Shmirat Haguf, taking care of our body and really our mind and soul as well. So let us guide ourselves with the use of these modern chukim and mishpatim to ground us in the new rituals that we create. Join us for Shabbat services, preaching to the choir here because you're listening, not only online, but come in here, come to the building in person, be with us. And I know you can't show up in your pajamas, but don't let wanting to put on a crisper outfit, don't let that be the thing that holds you back from coming in on a Friday night. We're still here every week, ready to welcome you with open, vaccinated arms. So may we all find these meaningful moments, and may these summer months provide us with all that we need to enter the fall, to enter the autumn, feeling a sense of wholeness, a sense of peace, and of course, of rest. Shabbat Shalom. Friends, I'll invite us to rise and turn to page 164. As we prepare for the Amidah, we once again feel our feet on the floor, feel grounded in this central prayer of our tradition. Adonai, Ananana sfatai tiftach, Ananana ufi yakin tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana sfatai tiftach, Ananana ufi yakin tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana sfatai tiftach, Ananana ufi yakin tehilatecha, Ananana Adonai, Ananana sfatai tiftach, Ananana ufi yakin tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, V'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, u'mevii geula livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo b'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham v'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayei hakol atah rav le'hoshia, morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melach, Melech meimit u'mechayeh u'matzmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman atah lachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom ya'alu chasela Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. We take a few moments to pray silently through the remainder of the Amidah, which ends on page 180, or to pray the words that are on our heart. And when you've completed your silent prayer, I invite you to please be seated. Shalom Rahava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Ne'olam. Shalom Rahava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Ne'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom rahava Yisrael amcha tasim ne'olam. Shalom rahava Yisrael amcha tasim ne'olam. It's my pleasure to invite up one of our co-presidents, Robert Wittenstein, for announcements, and Edie Disner is here as well.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I want to start by congratulating our softball team. Won their opening game last Sunday. Very proud of them. I think their game this week is likely to get rained out on Sunday. It's going to be a wet weekend. But it's fun to come out and watch them, so keep an eye out for when that is. It's a nice outing. Wednesdays at noon, Rabbi Rachel is doing her Back to the Basics on holidays, so I would encourage you to sign up and attend that. And also next Saturday night, a week from tomorrow night, Artie Gummer has his coffee house. If the weather is nice, it will be out here on the Schiffer Terrace, and we will serve wine, and it will be a lovely evening, and we hope you'll be able to join us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Thank you. So, friends, at this time in our service, we get to share the good things that are going on. We hold lots of different emotions all at once. This one right now that we're talking about, it's the good stuff. So if you have something wonderful to share, or mediocrely wonderful, I'll invite you to do so. For example, I'm Rabbi Rachel, and I had a very normal week. And for those who know our story, that is lovely to just have a normal week in the Miller house. Anybody else, though, have something wonderful to share? Please, Helene. Perfect. I'm going to repeat for the people joining us online, which is that Zoe, your granddaughter, left for Israel this week for the high school in Israel program there. 6 weeks. Wonderful, wonderful. Stephen.
My mother, Barbara, will be celebrating her 90th birthday in good health this Sunday.
Stephen's mother, Barbara, will be celebrating her birthday in good health this Sunday. 90 years old. Amazing. Edie.
For the first time since prior to the pandemic, I enjoyed Shabbat dinner with friends inside at their table.
I love that. Edie enjoyed Shabbat dinner with her friends inside at a table. It's big stuff these days. Yeah, Linda.
For the first time before COVID, I took my oldest granddaughter shopping for camp.
Linda took her oldest granddaughter shopping for camp, something you have not been able to do in a very long time. Yes, please.
I get to send my daughter to camp.
Stacy is excited to send her daughter to camp this year. Where's she going?
She goes to 6 points.
6 points? I'm assuming the North Carolina one.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in Asheville this year.
Oh.
Because last year it was supposed to be in Asheville.
Mm-hmm.
It was at our home.
So for those who don't know, 6 points will be in Asheville this year. If you didn't sign up, there is no time. Next year. All right, friends. So for all of these things, we thank God for reaching this moment in time. Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'hegianu lazman hazeh. Amen. And as I was saying, we hold those multiple emotions, some really awesome, some feeling a little less awesome. And at the same time, we can feel a wholeness by being surrounded with community when either we are in need of healing or when we are thinking of those who are in need of healing, whether it's healing of a relationship, of their mind, body, soul. Temple Emanu-El is thinking the Shabbat of Brett Samsky, Meir Ben Rachmiel Vedina, Arlene Marcus, Andy Rush, Yeda Bat Yosef Lev Miriam, Steve Backman, Tara Cutler, William Friedman, Lisa Solonik, Hannah Hazen, Ken Schiffer, Howard Ackerman, Ludmila Koven, Ina Slutsky, Norman Cohen, Howard Silverstein, Marcia Stevenson, Brian Fiddleman, Earl Kessler, and Mike Altos. If you are thinking of somebody this Shabbat, I invite you to please share their name in the chat of the feed or to share the name with me as my eyes meet yours. Thank you.
Raymond Lockheed and Daco Rubenberg.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Our words for Misha Berach can be found on page 511. That's one of the pages. In the middle of the page. I'll invite you to please rise. If you happen to be sitting next to somebody and you're not too toasty, put an arm around them as we join together in these words of Misha Berach, praying for the healing of a loved one, the healing of ourselves, or perhaps the healing of the world. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We turn back in our Sidurim. We'll remain standing to page 120. And for those of you who will be coming bar bat mitzvah in the coming months and you didn't say what you were super thankful for at Shechianu, I feel as though Kiddush is an appropriate time to do that as well. So please, add your names and what you're thankful for. All right, friends. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher knishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat, Shabbat Shalom. I'm stuck. On everyone's behalf. We will once again remain standing as we begin to conclude our service with Aleinu L'Shabeach, page 586. Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, L'Tait Gidula L'Yotzer Breshit, Shelo Asanu K'goyei HaRatzot, Velo Samanu K'mishpachot Adama, Shelo Sam Chalkeinu Kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. Please be seated. We turn to page, excuse me. Let's turn to page 595. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone. Not but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. At this time, we are thinking of the family who is in Shiv'ah for Marcia Hecht, in a period of Shloshim for Linda Cohen-Kulger and Dr. Murray Arkin. Those commemorating a yahrzeit on this Shabbat: Sylvia Auerbach, Aaron Burke, Jerry Cohen, Eddie Kojak, Mitzi Rochelle Echt, Alan Gerson, Cyrus Goldman, Millie Green, Myron Greenspan, Harry Aaron Gummer, Alice Herbert, Richard Holland, Bernard Legum, Alexander Levitt, Cynthia Mears, Maurice Miller, David Niger, Deborah Niger, Bernard G. Newport, James Postel, Florence Reese, Judy Rich, Miriam Rittenbaum, Harriet Ray Fector Romano, Jacqueline Rosenblum, David Satloff, Rose Satloff, David Silverman, Lynette R. Stein, Sarah Talansky, and Ava Weiner. If you are in a period of Shloshim, the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise where you are. If you are in the first year, Yud Bet, mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to please rise. If on this Shabbat you are commemorating a yahrzeit, a death anniversary of a loved one, I'll invite you to please rise. And if it is your custom to rise for Mourner's Kaddish, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I'll invite you to do so now. Kadisha Tome can be found on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash me rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uzman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'olam u'omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dukudusha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Yai la lai 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 yai lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai lai 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 yai la lai 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 yai la lai 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 Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen. Shabbat shalom, everyone.